capital budget on initial first glance. We've added a couple of additional projects that have percolated up. There's a desire to increase transfers to reserves, and so all of those things impact what that tax impact is going to be. All I'm suggesting is we might have to make, just like we do at home. My wife wants to do home renovation in the bathroom here, and we want to put a new patio out on the front, and okay, here's the budget. So we have to find a way of doing that. Not saying we're not going to do it, just say maybe we defer that, find a different way. So we can look at, and we're not going to make the decision, but we'll present some options to councils to say. And I appreciate the dialogue, because if the desire is to increase the contributions to the reserve funds, for example, by 0.5%, or is the real motivation for our 1% to increase those to the max, then it helps dictate what the task is on the other side. So we go back, we explore those things. And it is a matter, at the end of the day, it's going to be council members who have to make the decision as to if something's going to be deferred out a few years. It's just an awareness of what the implications are, and you make that decision with, okay, we're ready to take that fight, or whatever. But you know, it's the design. I don't want to characterize the capital budget as kind of a wish list, because that's not what it is. It translates what the council has communicated to be priorities, what road needs studies and rec and leisure studies have identified, and strategic plans have identified as priorities. But given this challenge of how do you have a palatable impact on taxes, something has to give. And so it's either increasing those revenues, or it's cutting those revenues, or an alternative might be saying, well, we would like to have, just for sake of discussion, we'd like to have built the new depot in Forest. It's $1 million. We know it's needed. That comes at a price. Is there an alternative? Is there an interim way we can attack that? We'll present that suggestion to you, see if it applies, if it's palatable or not, and then we move forward. At least, you know, I think that's part of to me, that's about the strategic review of it, as opposed to, you know, spending a lot of time reviewing what the prices we charge in the concession booth. Or, you know, I don't want to trivialize it, but these are more strategic, substantive decisions about. In terms of contributions to reserve, what we're looking at is we're looking down 10 years from now as to what real issues are coming our way, and are we preparing for them. We've all had that experience. I know Forrest was proudly proclaimed before inauguration, we've had 10 years of zero budget increases. And you know, the public loved it until they realized everything was crumbling beneath the ground. You know, like there's trade-offs. So.
Same in Mississauga.
So this is just how focus. Okay, you want us to come back? I was just trying to give council some avenues you can.
Did you get the patio?
We're still in cooling off period.
Okay, so the motion on the table is that we put $300,000 out there.
No.
Read his paragraph. I read his paragraph.
If I can interpret what I thought I heard was that refer back to staff to see if we can reprioritize the 10-year forecast to achieve a net impact, a positive impact of $300,000 to $500,000.
That's a good motion.
And at the start of the meeting, we make that motion, and then it's off the table. At the end of the meeting, after we reprioritized and said which is number one and which is going to go to 2013, John then has the daily thing, and he can then make a complete report.
And at the end of the meeting,
I'm going into this knowing it's almost a self-fulfilling thing, but we know this is not going to be an easy thing to do, and may come back to council and say, look, we've racked our brain, we can't jeopardize. We can find 200 for you, or we'll say we found 300, but
At this
at this point,
don't find it in the Lakeshore area roads.
yeah, there's some.
There's 4 more of them.
Oh.
Never happened.
Never. You do Lake Valley Road, my God, you want something else.
But I think that's. I recall last year when we approved last year's budget, and 2 impacts were the increase to reserves for transportation and fire. And to me, this strategic discussion about when we go to taxpayers to say, your taxes are going to increase this year. Here's what drove it. We believe it's important to invest in our fire service. If people understand always said, people they don't hate paying taxes, they hate seeing taxes or feeling that taxes are being wasted. If you can explain to people and rationalize for them that this is why the taxes increased, it's focused, it's quantifiable for them. To me, I'm not trying to do your job, I can imagine that, I'm a ratepayer where I am too, and I say, okay, if somebody can explain to me where it is as opposed to nebulous, well, overall cost of doing business just costs more. This is much more focused and strategic to say, this is where the increase is derived from.
And just like, a good example of that is what the fire board, the fire chiefs, and the treasurer have already done with that fire budget. We now have that long-term plan that is going to look after the bunker gear, that is going to look after the breathing apparatus, that does give us the security of knowing that we have a plan in place.
And they
Everything,
comply.
we're not getting everything new right now, but there is that long-range plan, and that was a great, that was a lot of good work that Janet did with the chiefs to come to what we have in front of us now. So we do have a plan there, and it's a positive.
So, motion is? Any other questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion? Carried. There you go.
Good.
So, I would like, Councilor Russell.
Point of order. I just had to do that to you, just for the fun.
Thank you.
I've only done it twice.
Explain your
I
point.
just want to compliment, I got a phone call from a brand new ratepayer in Thetford 2 nights ago. And it was an awful message on the phone. I think some people just don't do that really well. He was a really nice man when I got in contact with him. He just moved in from Nelson Craig. And the question he asked was, John, I want to know what this means on the bill. And you know what it was? It was the base rates, right, which goes to our, what we were just talking about. They don't have it in Nelson Craig yet, or North Middlesex. They don't have what we have. I explained it to him. It took me 2.5 minutes to explain it to him. He says, that's like putting away in my RRSP. I said, yes, sir, that's exactly it. He said, well, you're doing good business. I'm going to phone Shipway up and tell them to do that over in Nelson Craig. But that's where you're going is correct. These business units are the way to go for this long-term planning. What I was trying to say, and I hope we would continue on, is we've got to use the strategic, we've got to use the tools we've had available to us. That's all I was trying to do. Wonderful. Yeah, we're doing good. Let's go. Sorry.
The strategic rate, but also the other plans that we have in place are part of our strategic. The recreation plan, and the community improvement plans, and those that speak of these things. So, you can say that we don't have the strategic plan done yet. We have a lot of other plans that work into the strategic plan. Part of it. So, we need to, are we gonna go through these, prioritize them? Or John, come back?
We're going to answer his questions first, I think. Maybe we can go through the budget. It's not what we're here for today. Go to strategic planning when it's time to go to strategic planning.
I know.
We do operating. We do operating. And then John
You need
Campbell.
any more, you want any more direction from council on these 7 items, I think, that's on this report? The capital items, which ones are priority, or they're all priority? I guess that's.
So
Councilor Russell.
to answer your question in light of the way you're using the different plans, I agree with you. I think we can answer those questions for him right now by going down one at a time. For an example, we'll just use the Kona splash pad as the first on the list. Obviously, there's a new source of funding, it sounds like it. This is wonderful, this is called an opportunity. That's a strategic opportunity, therefore, in light of, we would say, give direction to the staff in light of this new opportunity. How does it affect the priorities of the recreation master plan? And that's how we would answer that. Similarly to the BMX park, and you could go down the list that way. I think we have recommendations from the fire board about the reserves. We've had that recommendation for a while, 2 years now, I think, that we're trying to. So we can, I think we can give direction through this list. I was just trying to take the sword above our head away, let John get on with his business as we discuss each of these, that's all I was trying to do.
Yeah, I was particularly highlighting those two because the splash pad and the BMX park, I don't think they're in the forecast. We've talked about them, and this was about, so that, put it on the radar, so it's not a surprise to council. I don't have the authority to necessarily add it to the 10-year forecast.